So we're asked to make a truth table for 3 different statements, P, Q, and R. So the way we start that off, I'm going to write it up here, make it a little bigger. I'm going to type because it hurts my hand to keep drawing this. We make a P column, a Q column, and an R column. I don't know, I want uppercase, so I'll keep it the same, keep it all lowercase. And the way it works is, well, actually, you could do it in different ways. This is just a way of organizing our thoughts, though. We say true, 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 false, 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 false. We need 8 different options, so we make sure we get all the combinations. And then we do true, true, false, false, true, true, false, false, and then for R we alternate true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. Okay, that way we can go through our table and we know we have every possible option on the table for the combinations of P, Q, and R. Okay, so first we need to know what this column is going to look like in order to make it equivalent to one of these crazy statements over here. Okay, so in order to make that happen, we need to know what P implies Q is. So to fill this out, this is a conditional statement, and if it's the first one you've done, if P is true, Q must also be true in order to put a T in this column. So look, going across this row, P is true, Q is true, so they both match. P is true, Q is true, so we get to put a T here. P is true, but Q is false, so we have to put an F here. P is true, but Q is false, so we put an F here. Now, it's different, though, when the opening statement is false, okay? And there's several different explanations for that out there, but basically, if you have a conditional statement, if the first part of the statement is false, then it doesn't matter what the other one is. We write true, okay? So false implies that this is true. False makes this be true. False, it doesn't matter what Q is. We're not even looking at Q because the first part of the conditional statement is false. Then we automatically mark this whole thing as true. And then to finish this out, we need a column for P implies Q, implies R. So to fill out this column, we're starting with this column, and then we see if it implies this column. Right? So P implies Q is true. R also has to be true if we're going to mark a T in the first row. And it is, right? So we put a T there. P implies Q is true, but R is false, so we have to put an F here. Now, P implies Q is false. We said when we made that first column, the previous column, that if the first part of the statement is false, it doesn't matter what the other statement is. We automatically mark it as true. So P implies Q is false. Doesn't matter what R is. We mark true. P implies Q is true. R is true in this row, so we put true. P implies Q is true, R is false, so this is an F here. P implies Q is true, R is true, so we put a true here. P implies Q is true, R is false, so we put an F here. So this is the column we're trying to make. Okay, we need to check all these statements to see if they match this column, and that can take some time, unfortunately. Okay, so we got to fill out the columns for these other statements here too. So the first for the first statement here that's in the multiple select, P implies R. We don't have that filled out up here. So I'm going to bold that. P implies R. We need to fill that out. Then we need to fill out not Q implies R, and then we need to see where those intersect. So P implies R. P is true, R is true, so we mark a T here. P is true, R is false, so we mark F here. They're not both true. P implies true, R implies true, put a T. P implies true, R implies F. They're not both true. Remember, when the first part of the conditional statement is false, it doesn't matter what the other one is. We automatically get to mark it as true, because it's like there's no truth value I have to work with in the first place. So this is true, and this is true. Okay, so in that first multiple select option, I've got everything marked down. I can't move this off the screen. I guess I can make it smaller. Definitely have some paper and pencil for this one, right? So you don't have to type things out like I'm doing. Okay, so that we've got that one. Now we need to make this other parentheses. And in order to do that, we need to know what not Q is. Not Q is just the negation of the column Q. So we had true here, so it's false here. False. True. True. Just negating everything I see as I go down here. And it's just going to keep that pattern. False. False. True. True. Okay. And now we can fill out the statement that they're talking about in that second parentheses up here. Now we can do not Q implies R. So not Q is false. Doesn't matter what R is. We automatically mark it as true. Same thing for this row. No, not Q is true. Let's see what R is on the third row. R is true also on the third row, so we get to mark a T there. True for the fourth row, false for the fourth row, so this is marked false. And then same thing here. This is true. This is true. And then we have true for the seventh row, true for the seventh row, so that they both match, they're true. And then true for the eighth row, false for the eighth row in column R. Oh man, now we have the pleasure of finding out where they match. We need to do P implies R, and actually I can use the and symbol here. Not Q implies R. So we need to find out where they're both true. I like and a lot. I like and more just because it's a little quicker in my mind for some reason. P implies R. Not Q implies R, so they're both true. We get to put a T there. One of them's false in the second row. They're both true in the third row. They're both false in the second row, so we get to put an F there. They're both true in the fourth row. They're both true in the fifth row. They're both true in the sixth row. And one of them is false in the seventh row. So the and statement doesn't hold. They're not both true. So true, false, true, false, true, 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 false. True, false, true, true. Oh, they don't match on the fourth row. So this is not our statement. Oh. That means we have to go back to the drawing board. And we can do P or R to start us off. Same type of thing that we just did on that other one. P or R. It's when either one of them are true. We get to mark this as true. So P is true. Doesn't matter what R is. We're going to mark it as true. Okay. P is true. Doesn't matter what R is. It's one or the other when you have the or statement. P is true. P is true. P is false, but R is true in the fifth row. P is false. R is false. So we get to put an F here. P is false, but R is true. And on the eighth row, they're both false. So with the or statement, we put that there. So we got Q or R. Same type of thing here, just using column Q and column R. We got true. One of them's true. It doesn't matter if both of them are true. We just need one of them to be true. Q is true in the second row. R is true in the third row. They're both false in the fourth row. In the fifth row, they're both true. We just need one of them. Sixth row, Q is true. Seventh row, R is true. Eighth row, they're both false. Right? Q is false, R is false. And now we can finish out this statement. It's P or R and Q or R. So to fill out this column, they both need to be true. This column needs to be true, and this column needs to be true because of the and symbol. So they're both true in row 1. They're both true in row 2. They're both true in row 3. One of them is false in row 4. They both need to be true for the and statement to hold. Both true in row 5. One of them's false in row 6. They're both true in row 7. Neither of them are true in row 8. Does this match? True, true, true? No, it doesn't. True, false, true. The second row, that doesn't match. Hopefully you get the very first one you try is correct. Okay, for this next one, we need to know not P. And then let's just fill out that before we go any further. Not P, it's just the negation of P. So I'm looking at that top row. Oops. Put an F. 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 I'm just negating everything I see in the P column. We got true, 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 true. Okay, so that's not P. Now we can fill out not P implies R. So not P is false. That means we don't even consider it any further. We just write a true there. True, true, true. Now this is true. That means R also has to be true. So not P is true on the 5th row. R is true in the 5th row, so we get to put a T here. Not P is true in the 6th row. R is false in the 6th row. Not P is true in the 7th row, so that means R needs to be true, and it is. Not P is true on the 8th row. R needs to be true as well, but it's not. It's false. So they don't match, so we write an F there. Okay, so we got that first parentheses. Holy cannolis. Q. Q implies R. So Q is true. R is true. That means we get to write true here. Q is true. R is false. They both need to be true if the first one's true. Q is false. That means we automatically write true. Q is false. That means we write true. Q is true in the 5th row. R is true, so we write true. Q is true. R is false. So they both don't match. Oops, that should be an F. Shame on me. Q is false. Q is false in the last two, so that means we don't even have to worry about R. And so now we can complete the third option. P implies R and Q implies R. Okay. So not P implies R, that's true. This one's true, so we mark a T. Not P implies R is true. This one's false, so we put an F. Do we have a winner so far? I guess that's one way. I should have done that at the beginning. As you're making the final column, just see if it matches up with this one. Because if that last one was true and the second row is false, I know I can immediately skip it and move on to the next one, right? Should have done that. Would have saved me some time. This one is true on the 3rd row. This one is true in the 3rd row, so we put a T. Do we have a winner? It's looking good so far. True, true, so we put T. True, true, so we put T. False, false, so they're not both true. That should be an F there. True, true, so we put true. True, false, so we put false. So T, true, true, false, true, 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 false, true, false. True, false, true, 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 false, true, false. Oh, thank goodness. That's our winner. Okay? Painful, painful. Fortunately, I think that's all we can do. Later on in the course, we'll talk about simplifying these statements, and that makes it a little easier, but